For more discussion on the South African elections, we're joined live from our Johannesburg studios by Georgina Alexander. She's the Program Manager and Research on Politics and Government with the South African Institute for Race Relations. Welcome to Africa Live. Now, there may be many over the last 20 years, but how would you describe some of the major political achievements and failures in South Africa, and then specifically in the last few years?
Well, talking about the major successes, I'll start with, is the service delivery that the ANC government have managed to roll out to millions and millions of South Africans over the last 18 years, but also over the last 5 years. More specifically, over the last 18 years, there's been a 100% increase in people having access to formal houses. And since the end of apartheid, for every one shack or informal settlement that has gone up, there's been 12 formal houses built. The same statistics apply to giving people access to water, giving people access to electricity for lighting. So in terms of the successes of the ANC government over the last 20 years, but also over the last 5 years, service delivery has been quite a success. Unfortunately, economic growth has been very, very stagnant. The NDP, which is South Africa's long-term strategic plan, wants the economy to grow at 5.4% in order to provide 11 million jobs. But unfortunately, we've been chugging along at just under 3%, and it doesn't look better for the next 5 years. So that has been quite a big problem for the government over the last 5 years specifically. And then we also had to look at policy certainty. There's been a lot of uncertainty around what is going on in South Africa, specifically with mining. And in a lot of instances, the government has let down investors. They haven't been able to provide them with the certainty that they need to bring money and therefore jobs to South Africa. So successes have been service delivery, failures center around the economy and creating jobs, and also the education system.
Now, the job creation that you mentioned, that's a huge problem for youth around the country looking for employment, and a large number of youth haven't registered to take part in the upcoming vote. So how do you see this impacting the election?
Look, it's going to impact the election quite negatively. When we look at the registration statistics, as we were hearing about just a little bit earlier on the program, the youth don't seem to be very interested in politics at all. Only a third have, in the 18 to 19 bracket, have actually registered. But in terms of making a big impact on the outcome of the election, the 18 to 19-year-old group only forms 6% of all eligible voters. When we look at registration statistics of the 30 years old and above, we have registration over 80% for those voting categories, age categories. So that looks quite promising. But more worrying than that is the level of voter apathy in South Africa at the moment. In the last election in 2009, 41% of eligible voters did not vote at all. And when people were asked now, do you intend to vote in the 2014 election, which is coming up very, very shortly, 1 in 4 said, no, I don't intend to vote. And when they were asked why, they basically said that there either is no political party that I feel that I want to give my vote to, or they said it doesn't matter who you really vote for, things are not going to stay the same. So there's a great level of dissatisfaction and a sense of disenfranchisement with the public in South Africa, which is quite worrying.
Right, Georgina, we'll have to leave it there for the moment. We're speaking there to Georgina Alexander, the Program Manager and Researcher on Politics and Government with the South African Institute for Race Relations.